If it wasn't for the fact that brunch requires you to wake up so early to prepare for service, brunch shift would probably be my favorite one. Even though most brunch menus revolve around some kind of carbs and eggs, there's just something about brunch food that's just so fun and liberated. Half the time whenever I see a brunch menu, it just looks like the chef went, I'm just gonna put these two words together and see if it tastes good. And that's kind of what I did here, like breakfast sausage wontons. Then we deep fry it, and then we serve it with breakfast condiments like maple syrup, and then some chili oil, and then maybe some chili oil maple syrup. Why not? It's brunch, who cares? But ultimately, it results in something that just tastes really good and doesn't take itself seriously, and that's why I really like brunch food. So here are the steps to it. It's super easy. Go ahead and buy pre-made wrappers and go ahead and get some pre-made breakfast sausage. You don't have to make your own for this. Only thing for the breakfast sausage is make sure that you get a loose ground breakfast sausage and not the kind that's supposed to be cut in patties. Now, breakfast sausage is already spiced, but I like to add some 5-spice or garam masala to add a little bit of smooth sweetness to it. And then to smooth out the ground a little more, I'll add a slurry made out of Shaoxing wine and cornstarch, and this makes it easier to fold into the wonton. Now for the first fold that you've been watching me doing, what you do is you add a little bit of the ground into the middle of the wonton wrapper, and then you put that over a hole that you make with your fingers into your hand. And then using a spoon or an offset spatula, push the ground down into it and let it kind of just fold into your hand. And then once it's in the middle of your palm, give it a gentle squeeze, but don't crush it. You just want to adhere as much of the meat to the wrapper as you can without making it burst out the other side. And don't bother sealing the top, the meat's not gonna come out, just trust the process. I'll do wontons this way if I want that specific look, but it's also great because it doesn't require you to use any kind of water. All it needs is a wrapper and the meat, and you're good. It's also the fastest one to do. And the great thing about these is that you can make a whole bunch of them, put them on a tray, and then freeze them. And once they're frozen, you can stick those in a Ziploc bag and just use them whenever you want. You don't have to thaw them or anything. In fact, don't thaw them because they'll turn mushy if you do. You could boil these if you wanted to, but I don't think they taste all that great that way. These are definitely better deep fried. Now the second fold is more fancy and it requires some water for you to seal the wonton shut. The easiest way to do this is to lay the wrapper in front of you, kind of in a diamond shape with the lower point facing you. Next, you take some of your ground and then put that in the middle as if you were gonna make the other wonton. And then dipping your finger into the water, just draw the letter V along the lower two edges of the wrapper. Once you've done that, take the top point to the lower point and then seal those two together. And then starting from the meat and going outwards, just press out as much of the air as you can, and then finally sealing the wonton at the end. Honestly, if this is where you want to end it, you totally can. At this point, it's a sealed wonton. If you use any other kind of filling, you can boil it from here, or you can fry it from here. It's totally up to you. But if you want to keep going, this is where it gets just a little tricky. Taking the water, you just want to wet from one side from the middle to the outer point, and then create a divot in the center of the meat. And from here, you close the wonton kind of like a pair of scissors, and then you just seal it from there. Now, when I teach people how to make these, they often fall into this one wrong misstep. They oftentimes close it as if it was kind of like hands clapping, and that's not really the way that you're supposed to do it. Don't do it this way. Just remember that you're supposed to close them in like scissors, and one is supposed to overlap the other, making sure that the wet end is on the bottom so that it sticks. You know what? This is brunch. What I should have said is do it how you like and the way that it's easiest for you and to follow your bliss, because at the end of the day, it's already sealed and it can be whatever shape you want. Now when it comes to fry them, it's super easy. Just chuck them into some oil at 350 degrees and then bring them out when they start to get toasty brown. You can use a meat thermometer to make sure that it's cooked all the way through, but once you get the rhythm down, you'll just know. Now at this point, you can put whatever you want on it. Some chili oil, you can put on some maple syrup. It tastes best if you add a little bit of flaky salt to it. Shout out to a cook named Matt and the delicious pink flaky salt that he hooked me up with. Or you can be completely extra and add your own Szechuan peppercorn and chili maple syrup. And if you want me to do a video on how to make that, just tell me in the comments and I'll do it. My favorite part about making dumplings is the fact that you can do it as a group activity, but like if you make a whole bunch of them, you can just stick these in the freezer with a little bit of flour on top, and then they'll be ready to go whenever you want. Dumplings are super easy, and once they've already been made, it's pretty much cooking them like pasta in boiling water or deep frying them as you would anything that you would deep fry. And they're delicious. Everybody loves these. If you learned something or you enjoyed what you saw here, don't forget to click and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And if you want to see some of the other things I get up to, drop me a follow on Instagram and TikTok. It's all the same username, Chef John Kung. Thank you so much.